How far would you go to save a life if it meant risking your career? Captain Monica Johnson, a fearless black pilot, diverts a flight to save a dying passenger, igniting a storm of racism and betrayal. Ruthless flight attendant Karen Morrison spreads lies to destroy Monica's reputation, forcing her to fight against vicious prejudice. As racial tensions explode and her career hangs by a thread, one question remains. Will truth and humanity triumph over bigotry and fear? Can one woman's courage shatter the chains of discrimination and soar above hate? The airport was buzzing with life, like a living organism driven by purpose and anticipation. A Boeing 787 gleamed under the morning sun, its sleek body hinting at power and elegance. At the heart of this magnificent bird was Captain Monica Johnson, standing tall and composed despite the weight of her responsibilities. She moved with practiced efficiency, her uniform immaculate and her expression calm. Dark skin kissed by the sun, braids pulled back into a neat bun. She was the epitome of professionalism. Years of experience had shaped her into a woman who needed no validation from others. Her skills spoke louder than any judgment ever could. As she walked through the terminal, Monica felt the usual glances, some admiring, others skeptical. It wasn't uncommon. A black female captain wasn't a familiar sight to many, and though she had faced countless challenges, she never let it deter her. After all, she wasn't here to impress. She was here to fly. She made her way to the cockpit where her first officer, James Porter, was already running pre-flight checks. James was a tall, broad-shouldered man with sandy blonde hair and a habit of squinting when concentrating. He greeted her with a polite nod, his face betraying no emotion. "Good morning, Captain," he said with a hint of stiffness, yet there was an underlying warmth in his tone. "Morning, James," Monica replied, stepping into her seat and beginning her own checks. James was known for his strict adherence to protocol and his stoic demeanor, but Monica had long since noticed the way his respect for her ran deeper than most dared to show. Though they rarely exchanged personal words, there was an unspoken understanding between them, a professional trust forged through countless flights. While they were working, Monica noticed his brief glances, as if he wanted to say something but held back. Finally, she broke the silence. "Something on your mind?" she asked, not looking up from the panel. James cleared his throat. I wanted to say it's good to fly with you again. You're always precise with pre-flight procedures. Makes things smoother." A small smile graced Monica's lips. It was unlike James to offer compliments, but she took it in stride. "Appreciate it," she replied, keeping her tone light. Their moment of quiet respect was shattered by the arrival of Karen Morrison, the head flight attendant. Karen was a striking woman in her mid-30s with platinum blonde hair pinned back tightly and a demeanor that radiated self-importance. As usual, she walked in like she owned the place, barely acknowledging Monica. "Captain," Karen greeted, voice clipped. "First officer." "Karen," Monica replied calmly, not missing the way Karen's gaze seemed to linger with thinly veiled disdain. Karen gave Monica a condescending look, then glanced at James as if hoping he would agree with her unspoken judgment. When James remained impassive, Karen's mouth tightened. "I just heard from the gate," Karen began, her tone carefully neutral but edged with disdain. "We've got a VIP in first class, Mr. William Grant. Apparently he's some kind of big shot." James raised an eyebrow. "The name sounds familiar." Monica knew exactly who William Grant was, a powerful business magnate and, unbeknownst to most, the chairman of the airline's board of directors. She kept her expression neutral. "Got it," Monica said calmly. "I'll make sure the flight's smooth." Karen gave a curt nod, but as she turned to leave, she couldn't resist a jab. "Let's hope so. Would be a shame to disappoint someone that important." Monica bit back a retort, knowing better than to rise to Karen's bait. James shot her a subtle glance, a silent question in his eyes, but Monica just shook her head, signaling it wasn't worth it. As Karen left the cockpit, James huffed quietly. She's wound tighter than usual today. Monica shrugged. She'll get over it. I'm not here to make friends. No, James said quietly, almost to himself. But you make people feel safe. That's more important. The statement surprised her, and she shot him a questioning look. He just gave a tiny nod, confirming his sincerity before focusing back on the panel. Monica allowed herself a small smile. Pre-flight routine. With pre-flight checks complete, Monica glanced through the passenger manifest. The name William Grant stared back at her, and she couldn't help but wonder if he was just another demanding businessman or something more. She shook off the thought and finished her final checks. Karen's voice crackled over the intercom, giving the usual safety demonstration. Monica listened absent-mindedly, her mind slipping into the calm focus she always found before takeoff. Once airborne, the sky opened up like a vast ocean, and Monica felt the familiar sense of freedom envelop her. This was where she belonged, above the world and its biases, where competence trumped prejudice. She let James take over for a moment while she sipped her coffee. It was then that Karen barged back into the cockpit, her face twisted with anxiety. "Captain, we've got a situation," Karen said, sounding rattled. Monica put down her coffee and turned, immediately alert. "What is it?" "A woman in first class. She collapsed. She's breathing, but barely. We think it's a heart attack. There's a doctor on board, but she needs immediate medical attention," Karen blurted out. Monica felt a cold chill run through her spine. Heart attacks at 35,000 feet were no joke. She glanced at James, whose expression hardened. "What's the doctor saying?" Monica asked calmly. Karen hesitated. "He thinks we should land immediately. Says her condition's critical." James looked at her, the unspoken dilemma clear. If they turned back, it would mean significant delays, paperwork, and scrutiny. If they didn't, and the passenger didn't make it, it would be on Monica's conscience forever. "We're closest to Denver International," James noted. "That's our best bet." Monica nodded, mind whirling through procedures and risks. "Get back to your position, Karen. We'll make an announcement soon." Karen hesitated as if wanting to argue, but James gave her a stern look, and she finally left. James spoke quietly. "You know she's going to use this against you if anything goes wrong." "I'm aware," Monica replied, voice steady. "But if we don't act, that woman might die. I won't have that on my conscience." James gave a small nod, approval evident despite his natural caution. "I'll coordinate with ATC for clearance to divert." Monica took a deep breath, her heart pounding, but her voice remained firm. "Let's do it. Prioritize the passenger's life." James glanced at her with newfound respect, not just as a captain, but as a person willing to bear the weight of consequences for doing the right thing. The unseen witness. Back in first class, William Grant sat calmly in his seat, subtly watching as Karen hurried past. His sharp, discerning eyes didn't miss the way she scowled when mentioning Monica's decision to divert. He knew enough about leadership to recognize that decisions like this defined character. He pulled out his phone, making a quiet note in his digital log. "Captain Johnson exhibits exceptional leadership and integrity, values human life above reputation. Investigate further." He leaned back, seemingly indifferent, but his mind was working. He had seen plenty of captains driven by ego, power, or protocol, but this was different. This was a leader who cared. As the plane began its descent toward Denver, the tension was palpable. The passengers were murmuring anxiously, and Karen continued to grumble under her breath, convinced this would be the end of Monica's career. William just smiled to himself. Little did Karen know it wasn't her judgment that mattered. It was Monica's, and she had already proven herself in his eyes, descending into uncertainty. The Boeing 787 dipped gently as Monica Johnson began the controlled descent toward Denver International. Her hands remained steady on the yoke, despite the storm of emotions brewing beneath her calm demeanor. James Porter sat beside her, coordinating with air traffic control, his voice a smooth, unwavering cadence. Denver Tower, this is Flight 372, declaring medical emergency. Requesting immediate clearance for emergency landing, James stated. The radio crackled with a quick response. Flight 372, clearance granted. Divert to runway 27. Emergency personnel standing by. Monica acknowledged, eyes scanning the panel, ensuring all systems were optimal for landing. She didn't miss the way James glanced at her, his eyes flickering with something almost akin to admiration. "You're handling this well," he murmured. Monica didn't reply, just nodded, focusing on every minor adjustment. In her mind, she replayed the last 20 minutes. Evelyn Harper, the collapsed passenger, and Karen's sneering disdain as she reported the incident. Monica couldn't ignore the bitter taste in her mouth when she remembered Karen's insinuation that she was overreacting just to appear competent. As they passed through 20,000 feet, James leaned closer. "Captain," he said cautiously, "I know you're prepared for what's coming, but Karen's already stirring the pot. She's telling passengers that your decision to divert was reckless, that it's about showing off." Monica didn't respond immediately, but when she did, her tone was unshakable. "Let her talk. I'd rather be criticized for saving a life than praised for upholding procedure while someone dies." James hesitated, then gave her a rare, genuine smile. "That's why I trust your judgment." The plane leveled out at 10,000 feet, and Monica prepared for landing. Despite the brewing chaos within the cabin and the whispering among passengers, she remained steady. Nothing else mattered but the safety of her crew and passengers. The whispered revolt. In the cabin, Karen paced the aisle with the air of a martyr suffering through incompetence. Her carefully constructed expression was one of feigned concern, while she whispered conspiratorially to some of the first-class passengers. One of them, a sharply dressed businessman named Edward Blake, raised an eyebrow. "Is it true the captain made a reckless decision?" he asked, intrigued by Karen's urgent whispering. Karen leaned closer, her voice dripping with false sympathy. "She's a diversity hire, you know. They needed a female black captain for PR. Not exactly someone with the best qualifications." Edward seemed to consider this, glancing around at the anxious passengers. Next to him sat William Grant, still quiet and observant, his face unreadable. Karen spotted him and immediately tried to play the professional. "Sir, is there anything I can get you? Water? A blanket?" "No, thank you," William replied calmly. He held her gaze with piercing blue eyes, and Karen couldn't help but feel uncomfortable under his scrutiny. She shifted her weight, forcing a smile. "I just wanted to reassure you that we're doing our best to handle the situation," Karen said, pretending to be comforting. William didn't smile back. Instead, he raised a brow. "And how would you assess the captain's decision to divert?" Karen hesitated but pushed forward. "It's unconventional, to say the least. An experienced captain might have continued to New York. This diversion is risky and unnecessary." William's lips tightened, but he gave a non-committal nod. "I see." Satisfied that she had garnered support, Karen moved on, whispering to other passengers, stirring unrest. The pressure mounts. The plane touched down at Denver International with a soft, flawless landing. Paramedics immediately approached, and Karen barked orders to junior attendants as if she were the one in charge. James assisted Monica with the shutdown procedures, giving her a slight nod. "Perfect landing," he muttered. Monica merely offered a brief smile, but her mind was already focused on Evelyn. Through the cockpit window, she saw the medical team wheeling the stretcher down the jet bridge. Evelyn's face pale and clammy but still breathing. Relief coursed through her veins. Karen barged into the cockpit without warning, her face flushed. "You've really done it this time," she hissed. James frowned. "Excuse me?" Karen crossed her arms, looking at Monica with barely concealed contempt. "Management's already on the line. They want a full report on why you diverted. You know what this means, don't you? You've jeopardized the entire flight just to look heroic. Monica met Karen's glare without flinching. I made a judgment call based on a medical emergency. If that bothers you, take it up with the FAA. Karen scoffed, giving a nasty smile. You're finished. I'm going to make sure they know how you recklessly endangered everyone just to play the savior. Before Monica could respond, William Grant appeared at the cockpit door, his presence commanding silence. Karen paled slightly. Is there a problem here? He asked, voice smooth but authoritative. Karen forced a smile. Oh, no, sir. Just discussing the landing procedure with the captain. William's gaze didn't waver. You're quite vocal for a flight attendant, he noted. Perhaps you should focus on your duties and let the captain handle the technical aspects of flight operations. Karen faltered, mumbling something incoherent before scurrying away. James raised an eyebrow. She's losing it, he whispered to Monica. Monica sighed, leaning back in her seat. It's not over yet. The unexpected twist. As the passengers disembarked, some shot Monica suspicious glances, clearly having absorbed Karen's propaganda. Others gave appreciative nods, grateful that their safety had been prioritized. Monica didn't move from her seat even as the flight deck phone rang. James picked it up, his expression darkening. It's management, he whispered. Monica took the phone, bracing herself. Captain Johnson speaking. A clipped, stern voice greeted her. This is Victoria Bennett, Director of Flight Operations. We need you to prepare for a full review. I've been getting reports of protocol violations and an unauthorized diversion. Monica kept her tone even. Understood. I will comply fully with the review. I made the decision to divert for medical reasons, prioritizing passenger safety. Victoria's tone softened slightly but remained firm. Your judgment will be assessed. Be prepared to defend your actions. Report to HQ tomorrow at 9 a.m. Monica acknowledged and hung up, the weight of impending judgment settling heavily on her shoulders. James touched her shoulder lightly. You did the right thing, Monica. She gave him a grateful glance. Sometimes doing the right thing isn't enough, James. But I'd rather face the consequences than live with a death on my conscience. A witness steps forward. As Monica left the plane, William Grant approached her, offering a rare smile. You handled that with remarkable composure, Captain, he said. Monica didn't recognize him yet, just saw a thoughtful older man who had stayed calm amidst the chaos. Thank you, sir. It wasn't an easy call. He nodded. Some decisions never are, but those who prioritize human life above protocol are the ones I want leading my fleet. Monica frowned slightly. Your fleet? William chuckled. Perhaps I should introduce myself properly. William Grant, chairman of the board. Monica stiffened, eyes widening. Sir, he raised a hand to stop her apology. No need for formalities. I saw how you handled the situation. You didn't just make a decision, you took responsibility for it. I appreciate that. Before Monica could respond, William added, I'll see you at the review tomorrow. Just tell the truth. Let them see the captain I saw today. Monica couldn't help but feel a surge of relief, though the gravity of the situation remained. She knew the battle wasn't over, but at least now she knew she had one powerful ally. As she walked away, her phone buzzed, a text from James. James, whatever happens tomorrow, I'm with you. You saved a life today. Never forget that. Monica allowed herself a brief, exhausted smile. With William's words echoing in her mind and James's support lifting her spirits, she knew she would face whatever came next with the same integrity that guided her every flight. A new morning. A new battle. The sun rose over Denver, painting the sky with hues of amber and rose. Inside the hotel room, Monica Johnson sat at the small desk, a legal pad in front of her, filled with notes and thoughts she'd been compiling all night. The soft hum of the air conditioner couldn't drown out the tension that gripped her shoulders. Marcus, her husband, called, his deep, steady voice giving her some much-needed reassurance. You've got this, he said. You always find a way to make them see reason. Monica gave a soft laugh. Reason isn't always enough when people don't want to hear it. Then make them hear it, Marcus countered. Just be yourself. They'll see the truth. After hanging up, Monica took a moment to center herself, then dressed in a crisp, dark blue suit, pinning her captain's wings onto the lapel. Her reflection in the mirror was strong, composed, a woman who would not falter under scrutiny. The Walk of Judgment. Arriving at the airline's headquarters, Monica felt the weight of eyes on her. Employees whispered in corridors, some curious, others sympathetic, a few judgmental. Her steps didn't falter. She made her way to the conference room on the 32nd floor. The hallway outside was lined with people, managers, executives, and crew members alike. When James Porter saw her, he gave a nod of support. "I'll be there as a witness," he whispered, squeezing her shoulder lightly. Before Monica could respond, Karen Morrison appeared, her face smug with self-satisfaction. She glanced at Monica, her smirk widening. "They're going to eat you alive in there," Karen sneered. "Should have thought about your career before playing hero." Monica met her eyes, unyielding. "You wouldn't understand. Compassion isn't something that can be faked." Karen scoffed, brushing past her, but Monica caught the hint of unease in her posture. The tension between them was cut short by the appearance of Victoria Bennett, Director of Flight Operations. "Captain Johnson, they're ready for you," Victoria announced, her tone neither harsh nor warm, just strictly professional. Monica straightened her shoulders and stepped inside, the weight of the world seeming to push against her. The tribunal begins. The room was imposing. Polished mahogany table, high-backed leather chairs, and a dozen stern faces surrounding her. Among them, Monica recognized Robert Chen, the chief safety officer, Letitia Washington, head of legal affairs, and Barbara Winters, the head of human resources. Sitting quietly at the far end was William Grant, his presence both reassuring and daunting. Victoria took charge of the meeting, her voice crisp and commanding. "Captain Johnson, please state for the record why you chose to divert Flight 372 to Denver International." Monica maintained eye contact, her tone unwavering. A passenger, Evelyn Harper, suffered a cardiac event mid-flight. A doctor on board advised immediate medical attention, and given her condition, I made the judgment to prioritize her life and safety. Letitia leaned forward, expression neutral. "Are you aware that your decision resulted in significant financial loss, passenger complaints, and potential legal action against the airline?" "Yes, ma'am," Monica responded. "I accept full responsibility for the decision and its consequences. However, I stand by my choice. Had we not diverted, the passenger's life would have been at greater risk." Robert Chen interjected, his voice sharp. "Your first officer, James Porter, reported that there were other viable options, including continuing to New York, where emergency services were also prepared. Why did you disregard that?" Monica met his gaze. "After consulting with the doctor and evaluating the passenger's condition, I determined that the delay posed an unacceptable risk. The nearest hospital in Denver was the best chance for survival," Chen pressed on. "Did you consider that this decision compromised the operational efficiency of the flight and set a dangerous precedent for future command decisions?" Monica remained composed. "Yes, but as a captain, I am trained to assess risks. In this case, human life outweighed protocol, unexpected allies, and damning testimonies." Just then, James stepped forward. "Permission to speak?" Victoria nodded. "Proceed, First Officer Porter." James took a steadying breath. "I supported Captain Johnson's decision. In the moment, I expressed concerns about procedural adherence, but I witnessed her making a calculated judgment. She prioritized safety and made the call without hesitation. It was the right thing to do." A murmur rippled through the panel. Robert Chen looked displeased. "You're saying you would have made the same decision?" James hesitated. "I'm saying that in that situation, With the stress of a medical emergency and passenger well-being at stake, Captain Johnson made the most humane and responsible choice. I respect that. Before the panel could digest this, the door swung open, and Karen strode in with a folder of documents. "Apologies for the intrusion," she said, her voice dripping with false politeness. "I have testimonies from several passengers who felt unsafe and uncomfortable with the abrupt diversion. They felt the captain's decision was impulsive and not well thought out." Monica felt the tightening in her chest, but she kept her expression neutral. Letitia accepted the folder, glancing through the papers. Karen continued, her tone haughty. "It is clear that Captain Johnson's decision caused unnecessary distress and placed the passengers in a vulnerable situation." James gritted his teeth, but before he could speak, William Grant raised his hand. "Permission to address the panel?" he asked. The room fell silent, recognizing the authority in his voice. Victoria looked uneasy but gave a nod. A voice of authority. William rose from his seat, his presence commanding respect. He didn't look at Karen, who was now visibly uncomfortable. Instead, his gaze was fixed on the panel. "I was on that flight," he began, his tone firm but calm. "And I observed the situation from start to finish." Captain Johnson remained composed, decisive, and entirely professional. While I understand the importance of protocol, there is a deeper responsibility at play here, one that transcends checklists and guidelines. Robert Chen frowned. "Mr. Grant, are you suggesting that protocol should be disregarded in favor of personal judgment?" William smiled slightly. "No, Mr. Chen. I'm suggesting that a competent captain, like Captain Johnson, knows when protocol must yield to compassion. Her decision was not reckless. It was rooted in preserving human life." The tension in the room shifted. Karen's face grew pale, realizing her narrative was crumbling. "I'd also like to point out," William continued, "that this airline was founded on the principle of safe, compassionate travel. If we lose sight of that, we lose our identity." He turned his gaze to Karen. "And as for the testimonies gathered, I find it curious that none of them came directly to the management or were filed through proper channels. They seem to be compiled with, let's just say, undue encouragement." Karen stammered, trying to recover. I was just gathering feedback." But William silenced her with a single piercing glance. The final verdict. Victoria took a deep breath, as clearly recalculating her stance. "Considering all the testimonies and statements presented, we find that Captain Johnson's decision to divert the flight was reasonable under the circumstances. The safety and well-being of passengers are paramount, and given the medical emergency, her judgment was sound." A wave of relief washed over Monica, but she remained professional, giving a respectful nod. Victoria continued, "However, given the procedural deviation, there will be a note in your file for record-keeping. This is not a reprimand, merely documentation. You are free to resume your duties immediately." Karen's mouth fell open in shock, and James couldn't hide his satisfied smirk. William approached Monica as the meeting adjourned. "You handled yourself admirably. We need more leaders like you." Monica couldn't help but ask, "Why did you stand up for me?" William gave a thoughtful smile. "Because I watched you make a choice that reminded me of why I built this airline in the first place. To connect people, not just through travel, but through humanity. Your integrity deserves recognition, not condemnation." As he walked away, Karen stood frozen, realizing her career had just crashed and burned. James placed a reassuring hand on Monica's shoulder. "Told you, you did the right thing." Monica allowed herself a small smile. "Yeah, I guess I did." They walked out together, side by side, no longer just colleagues, but allies who had fought a battle for what was right and emerged victorious. A new dawn of uncertainty. After the review, Monica stepped out into the fresh morning air, the chill biting at her cheeks. The weight on her shoulders had lessened, but there was still a lingering unease. Though the verdict was in her favor, she knew that not everyone would accept it. The battle was over, but the war for respect and integrity was far from won. James walked beside her, his usual stoic expression softened by relief. They stopped at a small coffee kiosk just outside the headquarters, and he bought her a cup without asking, knowing she hadn't had a moment to breathe since the hearing began. He handed it over with a rare, crooked smile. "You really showed them in there." Monica chuckled, taking a sip. "I didn't feel like I was showing anyone anything. Just telling the truth." "Sometimes the truth is the most powerful thing you can show," James replied thoughtfully. Monica glanced at him, noticing the way his shoulders seemed more relaxed than usual. "You surprised me back there," she admitted. "I didn't expect you to defend me like that." James hesitated, his gaze fixed on the steam rising from his cup. "I didn't either. Guess seeing you fight for what's right made me realize I had to do the same. You're kind of inspiring, you know?" Monica felt a warmth rise in her chest, and she gave him a nod of appreciation. "Thanks, James. That means a lot." The unexpected call. Her phone buzzed, jolting her out of the moment. The name on the screen made her pause. William Grant. She answered, curiosity tugging at her mind. "Captain Johnson," his familiar, steady voice greeted her. "I'd like to see you at my office. There's something we need to discuss." "Of course, sir," Monica replied, trying to mask her uncertainty. "Bring First Officer Porter with you," William added before hanging up. James gave her a questioning look as she lowered the phone. "We're meeting with William Grant," she said. He raised an eyebrow. "Didn't think we'd get called up that fast. Must be important." The summons. They made their way through the halls of the corporate headquarters, passing staff who greeted Monica with nods of approval and respect. It was clear that word of her exoneration had already spread. As they reached the top floor, Victoria Bennett met them at the entrance to William's office. She looked less tense than earlier, offering a faint smile. "He's waiting for you. Go right in." Inside, William Grant was seated behind an expansive oak desk, hands clasped in front of him, his eyes thoughtful. He gestured to the chairs before him, inviting them to sit. "Thank you for coming on such short notice," William began. "I've been reviewing the aftermath of the incident and the subsequent hearing. It's brought several issues to light, issues that require immediate attention." Monica felt her stomach tighten. Was this not over yet? James spoke up, his voice cautious. "Sir, are we still under scrutiny?" William shook his head. "Number, you both have been cleared of any wrongdoing. In fact, I wanted to personally thank you for your commitment to the safety of our passengers. It's commendable." Relief washed over both of them, but Monica knew there was more to this meeting. William's eyes darkened slightly, a hint of anger flashing within them. "What concerns me," he continued, "is the internal culture that allowed a person like Karen Morrison to exert such toxic influence. I've reviewed her actions, not just on this flight, but previous ones. There's a disturbing pattern." Monica straightened, intrigued. "What did you find?" William sighed, glancing at the file on his desk. "Complaints from crew members about discriminatory behavior, accusations of harassment, even racial bias complaints, all swept under the rug by middle management. I had no idea how deep this problem went." James frowned. How was she not disciplined before? "Unfortunately," William replied, his tone bitter, "some of our regional managers seemed more interested in protecting their reputation than addressing internal misconduct. I've ordered a full investigation and have already initiated termination procedures for those involved." Monica couldn't help but feel a sense of justice at hearing this, but it didn't completely alleviate the frustration of what she'd endured. "I've made mistakes," William admitted quietly. "Trusting the wrong people, assuming that good intentions at the top meant good practices throughout. Your experience, Captain Johnson, forced me to take a hard look at how our culture has failed." He glanced at Monica, his expression serious but respectful. "I want to fix this, and I need your help. The offer. Monica exchanged a quick glance with James, then returned her attention to William. What are you asking of me? William leaned forward. I'd like to create a new position, Chief of Diversity and Integrity. Someone who not only ensures fairness and equality across the board, but also acts as a liaison between crew members and leadership. Your experience, your integrity, they make you the perfect candidate. Monica was stunned. The offer was beyond anything she had imagined. Leadership at this level guiding the culture of an entire airline? It felt almost surreal. I'm honored, Monica managed, but flying is my passion. It's where I belong. William smiled gently. You wouldn't have to give up flying entirely. The role would allow you to continue captaining selected flights while taking on these new responsibilities. Think of it as shaping the airline from the inside while still doing what you love. James grinned, nudging her arm. You'd be perfect for it, Monica. She hesitated, considering the gravity of the role. I'll need some time to think about it. Take all the time you need, William replied. But know this, I trust your judgment, and I believe you can help us change the culture that allowed someone like Karen to thrive. Confronting the past. As they left the office, Monica's mind was swirling with thoughts. James walked beside her, hands in his pockets. You really should take that offer. You'd be the first person to make real changes around here. She smiled softly. I don't know, James. It's a lot to process. Before she could say more, Karen stormed out from a side office, her face pale and angry. You think you've won, don't you? She snarled. You think just because some old man likes you, you're untouchable? James stepped forward, blocking Karen's path. Back off. You're done here, Karen. Maybe spend some time reflecting instead of spewing hate. Karen's eyes burned with loathing. This isn't over, she hissed. People like you don't belong in positions of power. You'll screw up again, and when you do, I'll be there to watch you fall. Monica didn't flinch, her gaze steady and calm. If you spent half the energy on self-improvement that you do on dragging others down, maybe you wouldn't be in this position. You're angry because your prejudice didn't win this time. Get used to it. Karen looked like she might strike Monica, but Victoria appeared behind her, firm and resolute. Karen, please come with me. We need to discuss your termination and your future with this company. Karen shot one last glare at Monica before following Victoria, her steps heavy with defeat. James let out a breath. She really doesn't know when to quit. Monica gave him a small smile. People like her rarely do. It's easier to blame others than to confront their own flaws. A new horizon. Later that evening, Monica returned home to find Marcus and Amara waiting with anxious eyes. The moment she stepped inside, Amara rushed into her arms. Mom, did it go okay? Monica hugged her tightly. It did. Everything's going to be fine. Marcus pulled her into a warm embrace, pressing a kiss to her temple. Told you, you're too strong to let them break you. As they settled on the couch, Monica shared the news about William's offer. Amara's eyes lit up with excitement. That's amazing! You're going to change the whole company! Monica smiled, but her thoughts remained conflicted. The role was daunting, the responsibility immense. But the more she considered it, the more it felt right. Maybe it was time to do more than just fly. Maybe it was time to lead. Marcus squeezed her hand. Whatever you decide, we'll support you. Always. She looked at her family, grateful for their unwavering belief in her. Taking a deep breath, Monica made a silent vow to fight for justice, to inspire change, and to never back down from what was right. As the stars glimmered outside the window, Monica knew that no matter what lay ahead, she would face it with the same courage that brought her through the storm. A new beginning with old shadows. A month had passed since the hearing, and Monica's triumphant return to the skies. News of her exoneration and the new leadership role had spread throughout the airline, and her reputation as a principled and courageous captain was solidified. Monica accepted the dual role offered by William Grant. still a captain, but also the newly appointed chief of diversity and integrity. Life seemed to settle back into a comforting rhythm, but Monica couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. A subtle tension lingered in the air whenever she passed some of the older crew members and a few of her fellow captains. James remained supportive, and the majority of the staff respected her, but she couldn't ignore the sense of simmering resentment from a few corners. A disturbing pattern. One evening, while reviewing incident reports in her new office, Monica received a knock on the door. It was Victoria Bennett, the director of flight operations. She looked unusually grim. "Captain Johnson, we need to talk," Victoria said as she stepped inside. Monica gestured for her to sit, noticing the nervousness in her demeanor. "What's going on?" Victoria handed her a folder. "I've been receiving some disturbing complaints from the crew about your conduct. Claims of favoritism, disregard for protocol, and even allegations of safety negligence." Monica's eyes widened, flipping through the pages. They were anonymous complaints, most with vague or exaggerated accusations. "This is ridiculous. Who would file these?" Victoria hesitated. "That's the problem. They're anonymous, but there's more." She leaned forward, lowering her voice. "Someone leaked a rumor to the board that your promotion was a PR stunt, an attempt to placate social justice groups after the incident with Karen." Monica clenched her jaw. "So they think I'm unqualified and that I'm only here because of my skin color." Victoria nodded, looking uncomfortable. "It's clear that some people aren't happy with your new position, and they're trying to undermine you from the inside." A cold realization settled over Monica. This wasn't just about resentment, it was a deliberate campaign to discredit her. "Who's leading this?" "We have suspicions, but nothing concrete yet," Victoria replied. "We're investigating, but it's clear that someone wants you out." Monica's hands tightened around the folder. "If they think I'm going to back down, they're wrong." Victoria gave a wry smile. "I figured you'd say that. Just watch your back." Some people feel threatened by change, especially when it challenges their perception of superiority. An unexpected flight assignment. The following day, Monica was scheduled for a long-haul flight from New York to London. James would be her co-pilot as usual, and the flight was expected to be uneventful. As she arrived at the gate, she noticed some of the ground crew whispering, casting glances in her direction. James was already in the cockpit, running pre-flight checks. "Everything's good to go," he said without looking up. Monica sensed the tension immediately. "Something wrong?" He hesitated. "A few of the crew members are acting off, and Karen's back on duty. She's been reassigned as a flight attendant for this trip." Monica felt a chill. "After everything they put her on my flight?" James nodded, his mouth set in a grim line. "Someone's playing games. Just be prepared." Before they could discuss it further, Karen appeared at the cockpit door. Her usual haughty expression softened into something almost innocent. "Captain Johnson, First Officer Porter," she greeted, her tone oddly neutral. Monica barely glanced at her. "Everything in order back there?" "Yes," Karen replied. "Just wanted to inform you that we have a few VIPs on board, including a senator and a few high-profile business executives." Monica nodded, dismissing her. "Noted. We'll be wheels up in 20 minutes. Karen hesitated as if wanting to say something more, but James shot her a cold look, and she retreated without another word. In-flight tension. Once airborne, the flight seemed routine. Smooth skies and a compliant aircraft. Monica monitored the instruments, her thoughts drifting to the meeting with Victoria. Just as she was considering strategies to combat the smear campaign, Karen's voice crackled through the intercom. "Captain Johnson, this is Karen. We have a situation in first class. Passengers being verbally aggressive toward the staff." Monica frowned. "Acknowledged. Keep him calm. I'll send James to assess." James stood, giving her a nod before heading back. Monica took over the controls, maintaining course while listening to the cabin intercom. Through the thin barrier of the cockpit door, she heard the muffled commotion, angry shouting, followed by Karen's placating tone. A few moments later, James returned, his face tight with anger. "It's Edward Blake," he said, jaw clenched. "He's demanding to see you. Says he won't sit down until you personally address him." Monica raised an eyebrow. "What's his problem?" James hesitated. "He's saying you're an unqualified diversity hire, and that he doesn't feel safe with you piloting the plane." Monica felt a familiar ache, anger mixed with a hollow frustration. Did Karen make any effort to calm him down? James shook his head. "She's letting him rant, almost like she's encouraging it." Monica gritted her teeth. "I'll handle it. Stay here." Confrontation at 35,000 feet, Monica stepped into the first-class cabin where Edward Blake was still arguing with Karen. Several passengers looked uncomfortable, whispering amongst themselves. Blake spotted Monica and pointed an accusatory finger. "There she is. The captain they shoved down our throats for PR. You're putting all our lives at risk just to tick some diversity box?" Monica stood firm, her voice steady. "Sir, I'm Captain Johnson. I understand you have concerns. I assure you the flight is proceeding safely and according to protocol." Blake sneered. "You don't belong in that cockpit. I paid good money to feel safe, not to be an experiment in political correctness." Monica held back the surge of anger. "If you continue to disrupt the flight, I'll have to involve law enforcement upon landing. Your behavior is jeopardizing the safety and comfort of other passengers." Blake laughed bitterly. "You don't scare me. I know you're kind, always playing the victim. You don't deserve that uniform." Monica kept her gaze unwavering. "Sir, I earned this uniform through years of training, experience, and dedication. Your prejudices don't change that." Karen chimed in, her voice saccharine. "Maybe if you just apologized, Captain, it would calm him down." Monica shot her a glare. "I don't apologize for being qualified." Blake scoffed. "Typical. Never admitting you're out of your depth." Monica didn't respond, instead gesturing to Karen. "Escort him back to his seat and keep him calm. I'll report this incident to the authorities upon landing." Karen hesitated but couldn't defy a direct order. As Blake continued to grumble, Monica returned to the cockpit, her hands shaking slightly. James looked at her with concern. "You okay?" She nodded. "Just tired of being judged before they even know me." James's face hardened. "You don't deserve this. And Karen? She's fueling it." Monica sighed. "I know, but I can't let her get to me. I've come too far to lose my temper now." A final attack. As they approached London, Karen entered the cockpit once again, a smug expression on her face. "Just thought you should know," she said casually. "Mr. Blake has been writing a formal complaint against you. Claims you were confrontational and unprofessional." James bristled. "You're supposed to de-escalate situations, Karen. Instead, you're fanning the flames." Karen sneered. "Just doing my job, making sure passenger concerns are addressed." Monica gave her a cold stare. "Leave, now." Karen opened her mouth to retort but thought better of it, retreating with a glare. James exhaled sharply. "She's pushing you, Monica, trying to get a reaction." Monica nodded slowly. "I know, she wants me to snap so she can use it against me. I won't give her that satisfaction." As they made their descent, Monica focused solely on landing the plane safely. Her hands were steady, her mind clear. The Boeing touched down on the runway with grace, a flawless landing. The passengers clapped, and Monica allowed herself a small smile. Vindication, even if temporary. Resolution and redemption. Once they were on the ground, authorities escorted Edward Blake off the plane for questioning regarding his disruptive behavior. James filed a formal report supporting Monica, and several passengers stepped forward to defend her professionalism. Karen was waiting in the terminal, her face pale as William Grant approached her with two HR representatives. "You've caused enough damage," William said firmly. "Your employment is terminated, effective immediately." Karen opened her mouth to protest, but his stern glare silenced her. She was escorted away, leaving Monica with a sense of closure. William turned to Monica. "You handled that with dignity. You didn't let the hatred break you." Monica nodded, her shoulders relaxing. "I'm not here to prove myself to racists. I'm here to fly." William smiled warmly. "And that's why you belong here. Thank you for reminding us all what true leadership looks like." As Monica walked away, surrounded by supportive crew members and passengers, she knew that no matter how fierce the storm of prejudice, she would continue to fly, bold, resilient, and unbroken. The triumph of integrity and humanity. Over racism, lessons from Monica Johnson's story. The story of Captain Monica Johnson is not just a tale of resilience and courage, it's a powerful reflection on human values and the enduring struggle against racism. At its core, it is a narrative that reveals how deeply ingrained biases can permeate professional and social settings, and how the strength of character and unwavering integrity can challenge such prejudices. Through Monica's journey, we learn invaluable lessons about leadership, compassion, and the persistent fight for equality. One of the most profound lessons from Monica's experience is the unyielding commitment to doing what is right, even in the face of adversity. Monica's decision to prioritize the life of a critically ill passenger, despite the professional risks and potential backlash, exemplifies moral courage. In the aviation industry, where protocols and regulations are essential for safety, Monica understood that humanity must not be sacrificed at the altar of procedure. This decision resonates with a universal truth. Compassion must always be at the heart of leadership. No rule or guideline should ever become more important than a human life. By putting herself on the line to save another, Monica demonstrated that true leadership is not about asserting authority, but about embodying empathy and responsibility. Furthermore, Monica's resilience against the toxic racism she faced is both inspiring and thought-provoking. Throughout the story, the harsh reality of racial discrimination surfaces through characters like Karen and Edward Blake, individuals who, fueled by ignorance and prejudice, attempt to undermine Monica's competence solely because of her skin color. Karen's relentless campaign to tarnish Monica's reputation is not merely an isolated act of spite, but a reflection of a deeper societal issue: the ingrained belief that Black individuals, especially women, are somehow less competent or less deserving of positions of power. Yet Monica's unwavering stance against such vile attitudes showcases an important lesson. Racism can only persist when those who oppose it remain silent or passive. By standing firm, Monica challenges not only her personal adversaries, but also the very system that allows such discrimination to thrive. Monica's journey also sheds light on the importance of allyship and support from those who believe in justice. James Porter, though initially rigid and by the book, evolves as a character who recognizes the value of Monica's decision. His willingness to stand up for her during the tribunal speaks volumes about personal growth and the power of acknowledging one's biases. It highlights that change is possible when individuals choose to educate themselves and stand against prejudice, even when doing so might challenge their comfort zones. Similarly, William Grant's support becomes a pivotal moment in the story, emphasizing how influential figures can use their authority to dismantle systemic discrimination and foster a culture of inclusion and respect. The triumph of integrity and humanity. Over racism, lessons from Monica Johnson's story. The story of Captain Monica Johnson is not just a tale of resilience and courage, it's a powerful reflection on human values and the enduring struggle against racism. At its core, it is a narrative that reveals how deeply ingrained biases can permeate professional and social settings, and how the strength of character and unwavering integrity can challenge such prejudices. Through Monica's journey, we learn invaluable lessons about leadership, compassion, and the persistent fight for equality. One of the most profound lessons from Monica's experience is the unyielding commitment to doing what is right, even in the face of adversity. Monica's decision to prioritize the life of a critically ill passenger, despite the professional risks and potential backlash, exemplifies moral courage. In the aviation industry, where protocols and regulations are essential for safety, Monica understood that humanity must not be sacrificed at the altar of procedure. This decision resonates with a universal truth. Compassion must always be at the heart of leadership. No rule or guideline should ever become more important than a human life. By putting herself on the line to save another, Monica demonstrated that true leadership is not about asserting authority, but about embodying empathy and responsibility. Furthermore, Monica's resilience against the toxic racism she faced is both inspiring and thought-provoking. Throughout the story, the harsh reality of racial discrimination surfaces through characters like Karen and Edward Blake, individuals who, fueled by ignorance and prejudice, attempt to undermine Monica's competence solely because of her skin color. Karen's relentless campaign to tarnish Monica's reputation is not merely an isolated act of spite, but a reflection of a deeper societal issue: the ingrained belief that black individuals, especially women, are somehow less competent or less deserving of positions of power. Yet Monica's unwavering stance against such vile attitudes showcases an important lesson. Racism can only persist when those who oppose it remain silent or passive. By standing firm, Monica challenges not only her personal adversaries, but also the very system that allows such discrimination to thrive. Monica's journey also sheds light on the importance of allyship and support from those who believe in justice. James Porter, though initially rigid and by the book, evolves as a character who recognizes the value of Monica's decision. His willingness to stand up for her during the tribunal speaks volumes about personal growth and the power of acknowledging one's biases. It highlights that change is possible when individuals choose to educate themselves and stand against prejudice, even when doing so might challenge their comfort zones. Similarly, William Grant's support becomes a pivotal moment in the story, emphasizing how influential figures can use their authority to dismantle systemic discrimination and foster a culture of inclusion and respect. What makes Monica's story resonate so deeply is not just her triumph over personal challenges, but the broader message that justice is not merely the absence of wrongdoing, but the active pursuit of fairness and dignity. Racism, in all its insidious forms, must be confronted with both individual and collective effort. Monica's character teaches us that integrity and kindness are not signs of weakness, but powerful tools to break down barriers of hatred and ignorance. Moreover, the story challenges readers to reflect on the harmful effects of complacency. Characters like Karen represent those who not only harbor racist beliefs, but also manipulate their professional environment to maintain their perceived superiority. The fact that Karen's misconduct was overlooked for so long speaks to the dangerous complacency that often exists within corporate structures. It's a warning that silence and passivity can perpetuate discrimination just as much as active participation. By exposing and confronting Karen's actions, Monica disrupts the cycle of hate and encourages others to reflect on their own roles in enabling or challenging injustice. An equally powerful lesson emerges from Monica's interactions with her family. Amara's determination to follow in her mother's footsteps, despite witnessing the difficulties Monica faces, signifies a generational shift toward resilience and empowerment. It highlights the importance of mentorship and positive role models, especially for young Black women who continue to encounter systemic challenges. Monica's strength not only inspires her colleagues, but also instills in her daughter a profound sense of purpose and ambition. This dynamic underscores how crucial it is for leaders to model integrity and determination, passing on lessons of perseverance to the next generation. The story also touches on the essential concept of self-worth. Monica never allows the toxic opinions of others to define her identity or diminish her capabilities. She refuses to succumb to the pressure of proving herself to racists who cannot see beyond their biases. This is a vital lesson for anyone facing discrimination. One's value and competence are not determined by the prejudiced opinions of others. Instead, maintaining self-respect and unwavering dedication to one's principles becomes the ultimate form of resistance. Lastly, the narrative reminds us that change within institutions requires courageous individuals who are willing to disrupt the status quo. By accepting the dual role of captain and chief of diversity and integrity, Monica chooses not to shy away from the challenge, but to use her platform to enact meaningful change. It's a call to action for those who hold power and influence to actively work towards dismantling systemic biases and creating environments where all individuals are valued and respected. Monica Johnson's story is not just a portrayal of personal victory, but a rallying cry against the racism that still lingers in modern society. It challenges readers to examine their own biases, stand against discrimination, and champion a world where diversity is not just tolerated but celebrated. It's a story that champions the essence of human decency and the belief that integrity, courage, and compassion can, and should, overcome hatred. In the end, it leaves us not only admiring Monica as a hero, but reflecting on how we too can embody the principles she represents in our own lives.